Alright, so we'll continue on our series for the 110s. So what I have here is, this is actually a very early 1964 brochure. I think the date code is 1 of 64. But I just wanted to point out a couple of interesting things in this brochure compared to the previous one in part 5. This would be part 6, so if you want to go back and watch part 5, watch part 5 of the John Deere history. So a couple different things. This brochure is much more detailed, but I think probably the coolest part, sorry I just hit the camera there, I think the coolest part, and I can't get it all in here, is they have a little 110 parked next to the 121 horsepower 5010, which is pretty daggum cool if you ask me. I mean, just look at the size of the tires compared to the hood there. You know, kind of some cool marketing. Obviously, the new generation is just that's an awesome design in my opinion in terms of looks, and so kind of cool to see that. What's really interesting in this picture right here is actually from a 63. You can tell it's a 63 because it's got the 7 horsepower and it's got the open flywheel cover there. This scene right here is also in a video that came out with the 110s in 63. And then you have the garden cart that it's hooked to up here, which are pretty rare, and then you have the dump cart in the back. This is probably one of the coolest pictures, I think, in this brochure. In fact, you have all the kids playing on the tractor, and then you're talking about the triple safe starting feature, but in all the safety and everything. So new standards for handling ease, safety, and dependability. So it's kind of cool to see that picture. They use this picture in a couple different brochures. And then I showed you this picture in the first brochure that we went over. You can kind of see it here. Once again, this brochure has all of the stamped steel decks. It has no more of the welded fabricated decks. But this picture right here is kind of cool because they recreated it when it came out to the 140. So this is a brochure that I'm going to fix to lay out here, is from 9 of 68. And you see this is the 140, and even though the fences are different, the background's a little different, but kind of a cool picture. And I think Deere actually used something like this a couple different times throughout different marketing campaigns. So you have in this picture, you have the white picket fence, and you have the tractor right there. Oh, here's a bigger picture of it. You can kind of see. I think that's really cool. And at the time, you know, everybody was talking about weekend freedom machines. You want to free up your weekend, so make your lawn the envy of the neighborhood and still have your weekends free. That's how Deere came up with the slogan, Weekend Freedom Machines. So here it is. It's talking about mowing. A couple different examples of mowing. Some of these pictures are much the same that they used in the 11 of 63 brochure that I showed in the first video. You have the snowblower. Notice it's all yellow. And previously I showed you that all green snowblower. Same thing with this one, this side, an all green or all yellow snowblower. Kind of interesting. And then you have the blades. You know, they're showing removing snow, and then over here you've got the 6-way blade, so you can see the pivot here, and then also the pivot right here and this is the plate on the pivot to pivot the 6-way blade. You can angle it back and forth. And then when they replaced that in 1965 with the 4-way blade at serial number 5000. You still have the Model 7 sprayer, the Model 5 sprayer. These pictures are in color instead of black and white. Thought this was a really cool picture of the 7 sprayer. The 7 sprayer is a really neat attachment. It's pretty rare because you can actually spray. These sprayers actually have some pretty impressive statistics behind them in terms of you can spray up to 30 feet in the air with some of these sprayers depending on the pump that you have. So one of the cool things is over time you'll see the number of potential kind of umbrellas or sunshades grow. Here's the umbrella with the white fringe. You can get a replacement umbrella from Hapco. And then you have the sunshade and then the weather shield. I think these are really awesome. And then you got the tractor with the kicked out tires. The cool old car in the background. what old at the time, it was probably a fancy new car. I'm not enough of a car guy to tell you what it is. And then probably some of the coolest things are the accessories. So obviously tire chains, the difference in tires. So you could do the all-purpose tires, or you could do the traction tires. And then you could do the high flotation tires, the chrome hubcaps, because the chrome hubcaps are awesome. Also, one of my other videos talks about the differences in the integral hitch, and you can see it here, how this is a earlier integral hitch, because this bar right here does not come over the hitch mounting arm. Same thing, we have the cool weights that we can put on the front of the back, the slab weights. We have up until 1965, there was not a hitch plate on the back of the tractor that would accept a Model 80 cart, so they built this little triangle that you could bolt on. Kind of cool. And then lighters, and then the single notch wheel weights to mount on the tractor. So you know the single notch wheel weights are generally nowadays the cast wheel weights have 2 notches in them. These only had single notches in them. We have the Brindley plows. We've already gone over the garden carts. You've got, and this is examples of the garden cart. Cultivators, disc toolbars, a hay rake, basically. I think they call it a rotary rake. Primarily designed to raking leaves. Maybe one of these days I'll actually get mine out and rake some leaves with it. I actually have a rotary rake. You got planters, the baggers, and then the trailer, which we went over in the previous videos. So anyway, kind of a cool little brochure here. Talking about the dealer, and then you got the 5010 here again on this side over here, and then the guy picking it up. I really enjoy pictures like this showing how dealers used to be, and then you got the stats on the back. So anyway, hopefully that's at least somewhat entertaining. I think what I'll do next is I'll put this brochure away, and I'll bring out another brochure that we can quickly go through. Alright, so following the 1 of 64 brochure, here's the 11 of 64 brochure. So just 10 months later, this brochure cover was actually used twice, one on the 64, the late 64 brochure, and then on the 66 brochure. So this is 11 of 64. And kind of some of the differences, I think this starts to do a much better job at describing the capabilities of the 110s. So they've changed some of the stuff inside. I think this is a really cool picture with the ivy in the background. We're just going to kind of flip through some pictures here. Model 80 cart there, kind of cool. You have a much bigger picture of the children on the tractor. You still have the variable speed, the variator and everything. Much of the pictures are the same. You've seen them before. Same thing here. You know, you still have this big picture, the 2 guys standing there. Like how everybody mows and slacks and everything. Certainly doesn't occur anymore. Much the same when it comes to snowblower pictures and stuff like that. We've got a little bit different blade. But what's really important here is previously the blade was a 6-way blade. And here it is 11 of 64, and we now have the 4-way blade because frankly the 6-way blade just wasn't lasting. Alright, so let's compare the two. Here's the 6-way blade, so we have this mounting plate right here. Then the picture of 11 of 64, we have the 4-way blade, so we've lost our side-to-side pivot. Okay, that's one big difference starting in 11 of 64, so for the 1965 model year. We have the addition of the 30 tiller, and that's kind of a cool addition. First pictures of that. We have more of the 80 carts. 80 carts didn't come out till late 64. Then we have the Model 20 compressor. Always fun to see those. In this case, I guess the guy's painting something by the water or whatnot. If you want to, you can go back and look at the video of my Model 20 compressor. Really cool thing. You got the 540 Rpm Pto in this brochure. You still have both the sprayers, same sprayer pictures as before. Same shades, same. This page is almost identical to the previous versions. Same thing with this page. We've still got the sleeve hitch. But what's really important with the sleeve hitch is now all of a sudden, instead of that kind of crossover design, or we have the crossover design in this one, you can see right there, And if we compare it to our 1 of 64, there's not that crossover design. Let me see if I can zoom in on this so you can actually see it. So see how on this page, hopefully it'll focus and it's not zoomed in too much. Probably need to zoom it out a little bit. So you see on this page how it connects right here. And then if we look over on this page, we see now that there's an overlap. That's how we differentiate the sleeve hitches from the earlier sleeve hitches for the late. Also, there's a chain on this one, hold-up chain. There is no hold-up chain on this one. So, just one of the differences, kind of the many differences that you see. And then on this page, we now have the Cyclone, or no, never mind, wrong book. So we saw the disc, toolbar, rakes, trailers, planters, everything like that. They're all still here. And then we start to get, here's a better picture of the bagger, the Cyclone spreader, the Viking seeder, the Danco, or the Johnson loader. Then we have the Danco loader, which very, very few Danco loaders are known to exist. The Haben sickle bar, the sweepster, the rotary mowers, the cabs, and then we have the transporters. Transporters are really, really cool. Seen a couple. I obviously don't own one because I can't afford stuff like that. But I can afford to look at them in brochures. And then we have the picture of a really cool dealer picture in the back. So, hopefully that's somewhat informative. You got to see both the 64 brochures. Probably what we'll do next is we'll actually talk about some dealership paperwork as we move forward, and then we'll slowly transition into the 140s and the square fender 110s and 112s.